and welcome to this session on practicing the use of different punches. Let us begin with the session.
Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to mark and punch holes on gasket with hollow punch, dismantle taper pin or dowel pin in an assembly. Let us look at the tools required for the procedure. Steel rule, bench vise, tri-square, files of different grades and sizes, marking media, dot punch and center punch, ball peen hammer, anvil, surface table, angle plate, vernier height gauge, drill bits, drilling machine, chuck key, hollow punch set, drift or pin punch of various sizes, dowel pin, wooden block with clamps, divider, pencil or marker. Let us now learn to prepare the gasket of rubber or leather sheet. Check the size of the available gasket material. Mark the dimensions of 104 mm into 72 mm using a pencil, steel rule and tri-square. Cut the sheet to the required dimensions. Mark parallel lines from side DC at a distance of 8 mm, 16 mm, 56 mm and 64 mm using marker, steel rule and tri-square. Mark parallel lines from side BC at a distance of 8 mm, 16 mm, 88 mm and 96 mm using marker, steel rule and tri-square. Mark the four corners of the gasket with R10 radius template to obtain the inner profile. Mark the four corners of the gasket with radius 12 template to obtain the outer profile. Cut the gasket to the required profile as per the drawing. Check the dimensions of the gasket using a steel rule. Let us now learn to mark and punch holes on the gasket with a hollow punch. From corner A on the 64 mm line from the bottom side, mark hole centers at 20 mm, 36 mm, 52 mm, 68 mm and 84 mm. From corner A on the 8 mm line from the left side, mark hole centers at 16 mm, 30 mm, 42 mm and 56 mm. From the corner D on the 8 mm line from bottom side, mark hole centers at 20 mm, 36 mm, 52 mm, 68 mm and 84 mm. From corner B on the 8 mm line from right side, mark hole centers at 16 mm, 30 mm, 42 mm and 56 mm. Set the divider to 4 mm using a steel rule. Mark 18 holes of 8 mm diameter using the previous hole center markings using the divider on the gasket. Place the gasket on a hard wooden block. Place the wooden block along with gasket on a metal plate or table. Punch 5 8 mm holes on the side AB of the gasket using a hollow punch and ball peen hammer by hitting squarely. Punch 4 8 mm holes on the side BC of the gasket using a hollow punch and ball peen hammer by hitting squarely. Punch 5 8 mm holes on the side CD of the gasket using a hollow punch and ball peen hammer by hitting squarely. Punch 4 8 mm holes on the side AD of the gasket using a hollow punch and ball peen hammer by hitting squarely. Inspect the size of the gasket along with the holes to get the required profile of the gasket. Let us prepare a dowel pin assembly to practice the dismantling of dowel pin. Check the size of the raw material using steel rule. File all the faces using bastard file. Ensure parallelism and perpendicularity using a tri-square. Apply marking media on face A. Mark to size of 40 mm by 40 mm using vernier height gauge. Witness mark on the workpiece using dot punch and ball peen hammer on an anvil. File and finish to the respective sizes using various grades of files. Ensure parallelism and perpendicularity using tri-square. Check the dimensions using vernier caliper. Again, apply marking media on face A. Clean the surface table and angle plate. Ensure all the moving components of the vernier height gauge are functional. Support the job with the help of an angle plate on the surface table. Mark parallel line at 20 mm from face B using vernier height gauge. Mark parallel line at 20 mm from face C using vernier height gauge. Mark the intersection of the lines using a center punch and a ball peen hammer on an anvil. Place the workpiece on the drilling machine vise. Fix a 4 mm diameter drill bit onto the spindle. Ensure the alignment of the drill bit with the marked hole center. Ensure proper flow of coolant over the workpiece. Turn on the machine and give the feed. Drill a 4 mm through hole on the marked point. Deburr and finish the workpiece. Similarly, prepare another workpiece with a drilled hole of exact dimensions. Position the two workpieces, one above the other, on an anvil. Insert the 4 mm dowel pin into the hole of the assembly. Let us now learn to dismantle the dowel pin from the assembly. Select a suitable pin punch so as to dismantle the dowel pin in the assembly. Always use starter drift punch first to drive out the dowel pin from the assembly. Use short pin punch next to drive the dowel pin further outwards. Use the long pin punch at the end to completely remove the dowel pin. Strike light blows with a hammer onto the dowel pin while driving out them with the punches.
To recap, we have learned to mark and punch holes on gasket with hollow punch, dismantle taper pin or dowel pin in an assembly. So that's all about practicing the use of different punches. Hope you have understood all the concepts and exercises. See you in the next session.